Okay, now Matthew Bull, who's already well known for founding Global in South Africa and is CEO of Low London and Chief Creative Officer of Low Worldwide, went ahead and did it again with the Bull Whitehouse in 2011. Matthew is also one of the originators, as I understand, of the Bookmark Awards, which will be handed out for the 7th time this evening. So we have a special welcome for Matthew.
Good. So first of all, it is lovely to be back in the country of the carbohydrate. Unbelievable what you guys eat here. I find it very appropriate that normally at advertising functions and old, well-established industry events, I get asked to speak, and normally I get asked to speak for an hour. But at the digital function, I get asked to speak for 20 minutes. So this will not be a speech, it'll be a Snapchat, very simply. I don't have any right to deliver a sermon here today. Instead, I want to give you guys a personal journey that I've taken through the years, that how my personal life affected the way I behave and what I've achieved and done in my professional life. So, the clicker. Interesting. There is little doubt that I have a very dominant personality characteristic, which is called restlessness. Doctors call it that, but I call it restlessness. And I believe it's a single most important characteristic for me when it comes to adapting to the changes that have taken place in the industry in the 25 odd years that I've been here. So let me tell you a little bit about maybe why I'm such a restless individual. I was born in England and came over to South Africa in the age of 5, and that was a new poster that I think lured my mother out here. I attended 5 primary schools and 2 high schools, the last one being Jeppe, which in many ways has defined me, and I'm being paid to put that logo up today, let me tell you. I played all sorts of sports, absolutely loved sports, and I love all sorts of musical genre, although my personal favorite, humiliating as it may be, is Wham and George Michael. I lived in 9 houses and in 9 different suburbs in Johannesburg when we first moved here. Now my wife and my children and I have lived in 9 homes in 3 different countries around the world. I can see you're all fascinated by my life already. I trained and worked as a journalist. My first weapon of my trade was the the manual typewriter. That is an actual manual typewriter of mine. Tipex was my greatest friend in those days. I was a journalist in the Air Force magazine after we were forced to go into national service, and one of the things that I learned to do there was that you had to take photography, and you also used to have to go and develop your own photographs in the darkroom as well. I can assure you that the darkroom in Air Force HQ was a lot less interesting than I found the darkrooms in advertising agencies later on in my life. I can see none of you have ever been in an ad agency darkroom before. I then went into PR and into advertising, and I started using the Commodore 64, complete with computer floppy disk spelled with a K. I then went back to the electric typewriter when I joined Hunter Scar's TBWA. John and Reg are still renowned for their tightness. We didn't have aircon in our office either. I had no watch, then an analog watch, then a digital watch, and then an analog watch again. I know how to use that kind of telephone, and I know how to use that kind of telephone as well. I was not around. I was a little bit late for the windy-uppy one where you ask the operator, so I wasn't around for that. And then, of course, the mobile phone came along, and I was one of the first people to go out and grab a mobile phone. And I can still remember the first day I had it driving home. At the time, I was working at Wrightford's, Ogilvy Mather in Cape Town. I can still remember driving along a street, back home towards Hout Bay, stopping my car, getting out, going onto the rocks, and phoning my best buddy. And it was unfathomable to me that I was talking to my friend on a phone, talking to him about the ocean. But of course, for all of you now, it's incredibly normal. I got a BlackBerry, I got an iPod, touchscreen, incredible. I got an iPhone, I got another iPhone, and another iPhone, and another iPhone, and another iPhone, and I'll get another iPhone. I got a MacBook, I got a MacBook Air, I got an iPad, and another iPad, and another iPad, and another iPad. Okay, you can see there's definitely an ADD thing going on here. So as you can see from so the other thing I forgot to tell you is that I was really excited early on in my life in South Africa when television went from black and white to color. That old, everybody. I think that there's only one thing I refuse to have changed in my life, and a change I will not embrace, and that is my football team, born in England, Manchester United, proof that I'm not a Johnny-come-lately. That's me at 9 years old holding a Manchester United pennant, okay? Just so that you know, I always want to put something up like that. I think that what you'll see is that I was an early adopter. I loved. So the question is, what on earth has this got to do with anything that you guys are here to listen about? The thing is that I've always loved change. I've loved embracing new things. To me, it's invigorating. I embrace things with naive enthusiasm. I always wanted us to be ahead of the curve. I always want the latest new thing. So I really thought I was an early adopter, and I really thought I was a cool guy, in spite of what my children said. And then I started an agency in New York. And I realized that actually the problem is I thought too much of the present and not enough about the future. I realized this when all my young guys used to keep coming into the office and showing me all these talking to me about all these incredible new inventions that they'd seen and this new artwork. All this unexpected, wonderful stuff happening around us in our business, and not even in our business, in the world, that we would just look at, witness, and never use, and never do anything about. In short, I felt that we as a business, as a company, were a reactive business and not a proactive business. And I think that's an accusation that can generally be leveled at the advertising business. The reason we are in what I believe the creative doldrums that we are is because we seek to look backwards, we seek to look today, but we do not look forward enough. So, let me give you a small factual lesson. First of all, we all know that great companies don't replicate, they create. Okay, so that's what I want our business to do. What the advertising industry needs to understand is that newspapers, television, radio, the internet were not invented for the advertising agency industry. I mean, unbelievable, right? Because I can assure you some people think that they are. And I'm sure some people in media even think that they are. But this is, they just aren't. What I think is really important for us to understand about technology, looking at those 3 things that are up there, is that as a species, technology drives how we change. Just look at it today, how we travel, how we communicate, how we eat, how we fight, how we fall in love. All these things happen because of the evolution of technology in the world. The car is technology. Everyone thinks technology is iPhones and computers, but it's not. They're aeroplanes. They're cars. This is technology, and technology drives how we change as a society. Now, it's vital that in the advertising business we understand this and we know where it's going, because how else are we going to manipulate our own species? So, if you look, and I've gone too far, if you look, this is the other thing that I found astounding about, the advertising medium. We didn't invent television advertising. Television advertising was invented by television. They came up with the idea of creating this content, and that they would go to a client, which happened to be a detergent, and get the detergent to sponsor that program. That's ostensibly the first radio-stroke television advertising. And that's the birth, of course, of soapies. That's why we call them soapies. Even today, if you look at Google, if you look at Yahoo, if you look at all the search engines that came up, everyone was going, how are they going to make money? How are they going to make money? We didn't, as an advertising industry, have any idea how they were going to make money. Okay, they were the people that were the first people to create advertising for clients. They would go to clients and say, this is what you can do, this is what you can do. We were asleep at the wheel in advertising. We didn't want to change. We didn't want to transform. We didn't want to engage. We were snobbish. I can remember the Google guys coming to talk to us in New York when I was running low globally. And I just was fighting with our guys, saying, I don't want to go and see these idiots. I don't want to go and see these idiots. That was the attitude of our business. So, once again, reactive. As soon as it happens, as soon as our clients start demanding that we get involved more, we then react and we start getting involved. Of course, there's some exceptions, and one in particular that I'm very aware of is, as most of you know, when you walk down an airport, a sky bridge now, your advertising is all over the place. At least then, many moons back, we had HSBC as a client, and we went to them and said, we've got a great idea for you. Why don't you see if we can get advertising down the air bridges when we went to the airport? So every now and again, something happens. But it's not brand new, and it's not revolutionary technology. So, I repeat, we're a reactive business. So what are we going to do as an agency? And this is a sample of my agency. All very young. I'm old, and they're very, very young. And we want to change that. So we spend an awful lot of time looking at all the new things that are happening in the world. And we've created something called the why not part of our brief. So the thing is, every single campaign brief that we get, we have to present to our clients an idea that utilizes a new piece of technology that is happening in the world today. Let me tell you, it often ends up as absolutely hilarious, the unfathomable, the disastrous several times. But then every now and again, some magic happens. For example, we've got some corona work coming out soon. We have corona globally. And it's very simple. It uses it's not that simple. It's technologically pretty brilliant. But basically, it's a billboard which you'll walk past, and the billboard somehow interacts with your shadow that you cast on it. I can't tell you everything about it. All I can do is I can hope that one day you will witness it and see it. And the other great thing that we found through an artist that we'd seen in Beijing, we have used him, we're going to use him. What he does is he has a contraption that burns a hole in the fog. That obviously you all know in Beijing there is significant fog. So there's a beautiful sunny day above it, and then there's this fog. And his contraption burns the hole so the sun shines through. I can't give you the whole idea, but just think, sunshine burning through corona, you'll put a little bit of it together. So every now and again, we come up with some really phenomenal ideas that our clients love, are scared of, and we have to then try and convince them why doing a contraption or something like at an event like that in the modern day world is a powerful thing that will get spread around the world. So, right now, these are the questions we're asking ourselves as an agency. What does interactive motion control mean for our business? Will we be able to create ads that people using motion sensors can interact with creatively? What about Oculus or the magnificent HoloLens from Microsoft? I don't know if you know about this thing, but this is incredible. This is truly a marvelous thing. How can we as an advertising business use that? How can we plant some great ideas into it? What about, that's a little bit more, so that's going to be holographic, unbelievable. What about self-driving cars? What does that mean to the advertising business? Now imagine they're going to be self-driving cars soon. Does it mean that all of a sudden all these big ugly billboards on the side of the road are going to disappear? Are we instead going to have a small device on the side of the road that as you drive past that small device, it appears on your windscreen? A Coca-Cola ad, a don't drink and drive ad, who knows? Even better, will it be, as all of you know now, a retina display, reading our retina, will it have a retina display reader inside there which personalizes the message to you?
Mr. Yakamoto. Welcome back to the Gap. How those assorted tank tops work out for you?
Mr. Yakamoto.
Fantasy world, right? Just like the Jetsons were fantasy world, and yet today we've all got iPhones, which of course were first invented in the Jetsons. So, what about when this happens? This is going to happen. I mean, it's unfathomable, right? Much the same as it was unfathomable that I could talk on a rock with a cell phone to my buddy. That is going to happen. What does that mean for our business? A lot of you may or may not be in the media business. Are we going to start, you know, in America, there's this really strange thing in New York where you can buy the airspace in front of your building. You know, bizarre, but you buy the sky. What happens, who's going to be the first guy that's going to start buying the sky along which all these cars are going to be traveling, which we can put holographic outdoor on? You realize this is going to happen. I can assure you it's going to happen. And as a business, as an agency, what are we doing about it? Are we selling it? Are we creating ideas around it? The answer is, of course, no. A couple of other things. Mellow Mind. Mellow Mind is a brilliant software program attached to an app. You put these things on your ears, and while you're surfing, looking at the web, internet, etc., whatever you're doing, reads your mind, tells you about how you're feeling, what turns you on, what doesn't turn you on. Information that Mellow Mind will then obviously use going forward. I don't know the answers to all these things. These are just questions that we provoke ourselves with. This is an incredible thing called Trailblazer, which basically gives you a map of what you're doing and what your internet consumption is. This is Elon Musk's map. It's very, very boring, by the way. It's all about science and stuff. There's nothing spicy in there. He's probably got a secret code name. Just an aside, this is in South Africa, I know there are a lot of problems. We moan a lot about technology, et cetera, and our inability to really connect as quickly as we'd like to connect. But the power of South African attitude and minds is phenomenal. Elon Musk is an absolute superhero in America because of his Tesla electric cars and because of his SpaceX program. Elon Musk believes very, very strongly that as a species, we have always found new ways of surviving, and eventually we're going to have to travel to space. This is his big thing. We'll have to find another planet to live on. Crazy, right? But he's probably right. And of course, he's a South African, and very few people, it seems, certainly amongst my group of friends, most of whom are plumbers, I admit, know who Elon Musk is. But Trailblazer is an incredible piece of information. The Pro Glove, a glove that helps people play the piano, play the guitar, help you change a tire if you don't know how to change a tire, help you move shelves. I don't know how you use it in advertising. My personal favorite, let me get this right. My personal favorite is this pill, somewhere here. It's called the probiotic pill. Basically, it's a computer that you swallow. And as you swallow it, it will feed back all the data about your health, how your kidneys are, how your blood is, what your temperature is, okay? This is happening now. This isn't in the future. This is happening now. Maybe we can put an ad on one of them and get them to get Anadin. I don't know how it's going to work. We'll think of something, I'm sure. And then significantly, truly significantly, if you look at a lot of the ideas we're doing as a business, coming up with these little stunts like the Corona stuff, which basically will be witnessed by perhaps, physically witnessed by perhaps, a couple of thousand people. how's it going to get out into the world? Why should our clients spend $500,000 on one billboard? And I call this the media channel of one. So basically, if one of you walks past that, you then put it on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whichever new thing's coming tomorrow, and you send it out to 100 of your followers, who then send it out to 100 of their followers, etc., etc. The media channel of one is the most powerful media channel in the world. And of course, if you don't believe me, just think of this phenomenon. There's this Dutch guy called Ip de Wap, okay, who basically is an online gamer. So people watch him playing games online. I mean, I couldn't think of anything more tedious. He's a funny, charming guy, but you watch him shooting people, playing FIFA, doing this, doing that, trying out new games. He has 32 million followers, subscribers, should I say, to his channel, to that channel. The most watched television program in America has 15 million people watching it. Just think about the power of one. How is that going to affect us? How are we going to use it to create wonderful stuff? Whenever I get really depressed about and worried about the state of advertising and think about really where we are, I remember that this is just the beginning, really, for us. Where we are, if you look out there and look at the advertising world and the content we have created digitally on the web and beyond that, it's just the beginning. It really is just the beginning. We are the pioneers. We may be clumsy, whatever, but we are just the pioneers. And if I get worried about it, I just look at the first ever TV commercial ever made. The first TV commercial ever.
America runs on Bolivar time.
Does that not remind you of a banner ad? This was the beginning, and if you look at advertising today, certainly when it comes to film, look at what's happening in film. It's incredible. Look at Interstellar. Look at computer graphics. Look at CGI. Look at all the stuff that's happening, okay, and how it's developed and evolved. That's what's going to happen. In 20 years' time, people aren't going to believe some of the stuff they're seeing now. So back to our industry a little bit and back to our company. I tell my guys that I want them to look less at what's going on in the advertising world every single day. Stop looking at Ad Age, Ad Week, Mark Lives, Ad Lip, all that sort of thing. Fine. Look at it every now and again if you want to see if your buddies got promoted. But spend a significant portion of your time looking at what is going on in the art world, what's going on in the science world. Okay, I spoke a while ago about, to me, the best fuel I have for creativity is Wired magazine. I love all the stuff that's coming out of that. That's where I want my people to look at. Witness, to be people that lead, that don't follow. Our industry needs to be more entrepreneurial when it comes to ideas. And so finally, what's next? This is what's happening this is absolutely happening, okay? Between the next 0 to 30 years, these are just some of the projects that are in place. Demand responsive domestic appliances. In America right now, you can buy a fridge which will tell me that I need to get milk and eggs. It'll send me a text. You need to get milk and eggs. You're out of it. And then I will send that text on to Fresh Direct, and by the time I get home, it will have been delivered to my house. Okay, there's a variety of other things. Obviously, you all know about the thermostats, Nest, etc., etc. More and more and more devices are going to be out there. How do we take advantage of that? As I said to someone the other day, how do we use all these wonderful things that are happening and ruin them with advertising? We've got to be able to do it. We've ruined TV. Surely we can do the same here. Haptic clothing. Haptic clothing is wonderful. So what I do is I put on a jersey or a pullover, as we say, and it's a white one. And I walk in the morning and say goodbye to my wife, and it's maybe a light blue, feeling good. And by the time I come home after a bad day of work, it's black. Okay, so it responds to your emotions. That's what haptic clothing does. Phenomenal. I mean, what can we do with that? Imagine the messages that you can put on T-shirts, etc., jeans. Hangover-free alcohol substitute. Big, particularly, no, I mustn't be careless. Happening. Couple of years, it's going to be out there. Mobile traffic dominates, of course you all know this. In South Africa, we know this. Mobile traffic dominates the internet. Mobile phones are going to outnumber people in the world in the next 5 years. I mean, it's unfathomable. Dream imaging and recording via fMRI. You're all going to love this, guys. You go to sleep and you put on some funny galore headsets. You wake up in the morning and you plug them in, and your dreams will be shown visually to you, the dreams that you had. Happening now, coming soon. How are we going to use it? Can you imagine if we can plant ads in people's brains? I'd be so happy. Hey? We can get into people's dreams, literally. It's beautiful. Analytical underwear. I don't want to go there. Basic brain-computer interfaces for gaming. So all that's going to happen, there's going to be no consoles, whatever like that. Through basic interfacing through your eyes, whatever, you're going to be looking at the game saying turn left, go right. You know, your brain is going to be telling your avatar in the game what you should and shouldn't be doing. And of course, the other thing that we all know, our children today, I encourage you to not let them play shooty games. Do you want to know why? You'll see it's happening with flight simulating in America already. Okay. The United States Air Force is a big gaming, they look at gaming all the time. They look at all the guys that are gaming, and they take those people out and they put them in the pilot trainer drone program. We saw an interview on 60 Minutes the other day about a guy that was, oh, my time's up. Okay, 1 second. So they take those guys and they become real-life fighters. That's what's going to happen in the future. They're going to be our guys playing shooty at the moment are going to be real-life fighters. We're going to send machines out, avatars out. The guys are going to be playing with their joysticks or their minds back at home. That's what's going to happen. Prosthetic limbs controlled by thought. We all know that's happening. And then finally, the coolest thing of all for advertising, tattooed circus. Basically, video tattoos on human beings. So basically, I'll walk along and there'll be a tattoo playing on my arm or on my head or something. Okay, it's all coming. So, all I've got to say to all of you in your lives, or whatever you do in the creative business, media business, whatever you do, all I ask is, don't look at what is, look at what's coming. Get in front of the consumer, okay? But inspire yourselves and explore more. And that's me, many moons ago. Thank you very much, everybody. I don't know if I'm allowed questions, am I? Any questions quickly? Yes. How many? One question?
Sure.
One question, okay. Did I? Okay, yeah. If it talks nicely.
Matthew, won't you, can I have
No, I think you have a decision. You can opt out of those things or you
Can
can't.
won't you repeat the question? Just 'cause you
Okay,
didn't know enough.
with all the Internet of Things, which of course is going to be trillions of things in about 10 years, would I really want it to talk, my house to talk back to me, my refrigerator to talk back to me? I think I would. You know, I think that the truth is I would really want it to talk back to me. As an example, I really like the idea that I can track my children now. I mean, I know that sounds creepy. I know where they are, and the truth is I just don't know what they're doing. So there's still a level of privacy, etc. It's not like I've got a camera on them which you can opt in and out of. I think everything that's happening is wonderful. I think mankind will always overstep the mark when it comes to personal privacy and those sort of things. But I still think what's happening is incredible and wonderful. I love it. I can't wait for my iWatch. Okay, thank you very
Thanks.
much, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks. Great. So, yeah, I can't wait to form the IAB Council for Dream Advertising Standards.